keep on going backwards. I'm okay with children, I'm okay with moms, so it's up to you, but it'll be nice if you move a little bit forward. Be quite nice. Thank you. So I said today that we were going to look at section 4, but before that, let's just go over the building for a little bit. Surah Al-Qalam, surah number 68, 52 ayat. It's a Makki surah, right? You've got 6 sections. We've looked at the first section, which was in essence, talks about the Prophet. This is how Allah praises him. Praises him as one who has the best khulq, the one who deals with creation in the best of ways. So we looked at various aspects of that. The second section looks at those who denied divine guidance. So we looked at various aspects of that as well. I'm not going to go over that as well. Yesterday we looked at the third section, which was the story of the owners of the garden. And that's the first story Allah talks about. And in essence, it's all about sharing. If you look at that whole section, it was all about people who were selfish and didn't share. So today I'm going to tell you, before I go to anything else, a story about Jannah, because we're going to look at ayah 34. So you're going to see it in a minute. And that ayah is one section in itself. Fatim, can we have ayah 34, please? So, Inna lil muttaqina inda rabbihim jannatin na'im. Let's translate it. Inna, indeed. Lil muttaqina, for those who are God conscious, who are muttaqis, and we'll talk about that as well. Inda rabbihim, with their Rabb, they have jannat, which is Jannah, basically lots of Jannahs. Na'im is a place of permanence. Now I'm going to start with the story. So there was this man. And he said, Ya Allah, I want to know the difference between Jannah and Jahannam. Because he had also heard the story about Bahlul. I don't know whether you know that story. But Bahlul one day came to the Khalifa and said, the Khalifa said, where have you been, Bahlul? He said, I just been to Jahannam. He said, pardon? He said, yeah, I just visited Jahannam. This was in his dream. So he said, and what did you see there, Bahlul? He said, it was quite surprising, because he said, I needed some fire. So I thought, what's the best place to go? Go to Jahannam, that's where you get fire. So he said, when I went there, the guard said, there's no fire here. There's nothing. So he said, but the Quran, everything the Prophet has taught us, tell us that Jahannam has got fire. And the guard said, no, people bring their own fires with them. So he'd heard that as well. So he's thinking, what is the difference between Jannah and Jahannam? This is a metaphor, by the way. So he's taken first to Jahannam. And when he goes to Jahannam, he sees the people there are emancipated, they're angry, and he sees on their hands, they've got these spoons that are attached to their hands, and it's beautiful food on the table. But because the handles of the spoons are so long, they can't bring the food to their mouth because it's really long. And they're so frustrated because the food is so lovely, but they just can't do it. And then he says, but okay, I can see that. What about Jannah? And he sees exactly the same thing. The same table, the same spoons, but people are happy, they're healthier, they're smiling. Because they're not feeding themselves, they're feeding the person opposite them. So the idea of Jannah and Jahannam is basically how I relate to other human beings. Do I put myself first, or do I put others first? It is a reality in the Akhirah, but it starts here. It's for you and me to look at myself here and see what's happening. What am I doing? Am I at peace or not? Yesterday we talked about one of the circles of Jannah. I told you when the Prophet said, visit the gardens of Jannah, it is circles where Allah is remembered, where there is the zikr of Allah, right? The second one, which you all know about, is Al-Jannatu tahta aqdama ummahatikum. Jannah lies at the feet of your mothers. Now, there was a question asked, why is it in the feet? Why wasn't Jannah just given to our hands? It's because a mother, or anybody who raises you, is so selfless. If Jannah was given in her hands, she would give it to her kids straight away, without thinking. It's on her feet, it's under her feet, tahta, under her feet. So when you carry a little bit of her weight, You get Jannah automatically. But as moms, can you imagine? You have Jannah, full stop. Because of the selflessness in how you look after your children. And then how you look after others as well. So, al-jannatu tahta aqdama ummahatikum. Now, in this dunya, we got to think a little bit further. This is a week has gone of the month of Ramadan. You've got 10 days to Laylatul Qadr. Yes? Am I right? About 10 days. 8th day, 19th night is going to be the first night of Laylatul Qadr. And I've mentioned this before, that it's really, really important to start now and think, what do I want? Where do I want to go? How do I want to be? So I'm going to talk about myself because it's the only person I know really well. Okay. So there's an ayah of Quran which is my favorite ayah. 66:11. Rabbibni li indaka baytan fil Jannah. That's why we built Quran City. Rabb, build for me a house with you in Jannah. Now who was it by? Asya. I named one of my daughters Asya because I love this woman so much. So let's look at Asya. Asya was one of the prettiest women around. Fir'aun, when he was on one of his trips, he sees her in a remote village and he wants to marry her. And what Fir'aun wants, he gets. So he marries Asya. When he marries Asya and he brings her home, he gives her the best of everything. There is nothing she can want of. She has the best of houses. She has as many servants as she wants. And as one of the poets writes, that if a thorn were to hurt her in her foot, then Fir'aun would cover the whole garden with carpets. Wouldn't give her slippers, but would cover the whole garden with carpet so that she could walk barefoot and a thorn would never touch her. That's how much he loved her. He adored her, absolutely adored her. But she had a little bit of a niggle. She didn't like his practices very much. She didn't like how he was. And obviously she didn't have children. And then she finds that baby that comes floating by and she says, oh my goodness, this is qurrat aini. This is the light of my eyes, the coolness of my eyes. And then we all know that he's returned to his mom. His mom nurses him, and now Musa has two moms. So Asya shares motherhood with this other mom. But my subject is Asya. So Asya now learns from Musa. Musa is a child, but as Musa grows up, she learns from him. And when a hairdresser comes to comb her hair, and the comb falls, she says, may Allah withdraw his mercy from all those who call themselves God. And the hairdresser said, but your husband calls himself God. He calls himself a deity. Everybody has to obey him. And she said, him too. So the hairdresser, wanting more money, goes to Fir'aun and says, look what your wife is saying. And this is what we do. We take one story from here and we go over there and yeah, and whatever. Anyway, so he asks her and she says, yes, I believe in the God of Musa and Harun. And he tries to bribe her, tries to give her more. She doesn't want it. He imprisons her under the very palace that she lives in. She doesn't change her mind. In the end, he pegs her. That's why he's known as the owner of pegs. Zul Autad he's known as. So he pegs her hand and her feet on the sand and he gets horses to pull her apart. And she still says, Amantu bi Rabbi Musa wa Harun. It is at that point she says, Rabbibni li indaka baytan fil Jannah. Rabb, build for me a house with you in Jannah. She didn't want any houses. She has the best houses available. But the word in here is indaka, with you. Jannah is not about gardens of honey and it's all there, all there. And I don't know, all the things that you read, the du'as that you read just now talks about these wide-eyed hurs. Have you seen them? My grandmothers, those who are the next generation above me, would refuse to read that because they thought that hurs were only women. And they thought, well, we're not having these people coming to our husbands, so we're not reading them, right? They didn't realize in Jannah you're an it. You're not a he or a She. It's not the gender that you see over here. That's another story altogether. But in essence, Jannah is being able to reach your full potential and Allah being pleased with you. That's why in Surah Al-Fajr you read, Ya ayyatuhan nafsul mutma'inna irji ila rabbiki radiyatam mardiya fadkhuli fi ibadi wadkhuli jannati. So the idea of this whole aspect of Laylatul Qadr is you should have two sorts of goals. You have your macro goal and you have your micro goal. Micro goals. Macro goal must be one. So that even if somebody were to wake you up in the middle of the night, you'd be able to say it. It's like a mission statement. Companies today pay hundreds and thousands of pounds to get a mission statement, which is a small statement which describes who they are. It just tells you who they are. So you and I, up till then, have to work out your mission statement. You've got to work out, what do you want out of life? I'm going to give you a little bit of a heads up of what I would want out of my life. And maybe that will change, I don't know. I would probably want that when the angel of death comes, I want to say, thank you for life, I did my best. Now you can make up what you want. You can do what you want. You can work out your mission statement, and it's got to be you. That's your macro goal. But as far as your micro goals go, my goodness, just keep on writing. Musa was told by Allah, Musa, ask for the salt in your dough. Ask for the shoelaces in your shoes, and I will provide. So make a whole list of micro goals. Do that. That's what Jannah is all about. That's what life is all about, right? But you've got to work it out from now. You've got to work out, there's different ayat of the Quran. I don't know which one you like, but you can pick whatever you want. Imam Ali says, Jannah is only 2 steps away. The first step, he says, is stepping on the desires of your ego, thinking out of the box. And the second, he said, is just stepping into it. Literally, Jannah is when you're fully aligned with who you are. Is that who you are? Are you uncomfortable with who you are? Find out who you are. That's what Jannah is all about. It's amazing. Absolutely phenomenal. Now, this ayah says, Inna lil muttaqina. So who the heaven are muttaqin? What is taqwa? It seems to be bandied around a lot. So let's start again. Taqwa comes from the word wiqaya. Wiqaya means to protect. So one who has taqwa is one who protects himself or herself from anything that will hurt him or her. That's what taqwa is all about. Now, we tend to sometimes think that it's only the hurt of the dunya. So I'll give you an example. If just now you saw your child walking and there was, I don't know, there was a fire or there was something that was in their feet, in the way of their feet, you're going to jump up and you're going to pull it out, right? If you have a thorn in your hand or you get a little splinter, you'll do anything to get it out. That's what human beings do. In the same way, taqwa is where I think of the dunya and the akhirah. Let's look at what Quran says about this fasting. This is fast track, by the way. Kutiba alaykumus siyam kama kutiba ala alladhina min qablikum. That means fasting was ordained for you as it was ordained for those before you. Why? La'allakum tattaqun. So that you may get taqwa. Fast track. So Imam Sadiq says, fasting is not just not eating and not drinking. He says not lying, not quarreling, no jealousy, no gossiping, to put aside disputes, no swearing, even if you are right, no abuse, no stinginess, not being unjust, and not looking at things that are not allowed. He says all that. I'd like to give you from Najul Balagha who a muttaki looks like. So I'm going to go over some of the things of what a muttaki looks like. And just listen. And then, obviously, if you have this book, it's on the website. You can download it. You can go through it. Number 1, their speech is to the point. They never use bad words. Never. So no bad words. Number 2, they dress moderately. Number 3, they walk in a humble way. Number 4, they keep their eyes closed to what Allah has made unlawful to them. They use their ears to something that is beneficial. Number 6, if you see them during difficult times and good times, their attitude is the same. They're dignified. They don't panic. They're prepared for death. So every day at night, they will at least know that sleep and death are sisters. You know, there's an ayah that you will read in one of the du'as, Du'a Makarimul Akhlaq. Allahumma khtim bi affika ajali. I love that sentence, which means, say it at night. Put it in your, I don't know, put it near your bed. Allahumma khtim bi affika ajali. Oh Allah, if you want to end my term of life, then don't end it without forgiving me. And af is that bit of Allah, that name of Allah, that rubs out everything without reminding you. It's like if you can imagine footsteps on the sand, and then the sea comes and rubs them out, and they never come back again. So it's like burying something in the deepest of oceans and saying no fishing. Their needs are few. I know you're not going to like this. Their meals are small and simple. And she's saying it in Ramadan. Something wrong. At night they recite Quran, seeking through it a cure for their ailments. When they come across an eye of Jannah, they smile. When they come across the eye of Jahannam, they get scared. Now I'm talking about me. I thought just pare. Whether it's Jannah and Jahannam, the look on my face is exactly the same. There is a difference in the way they read. During the day, they work hard. They are never satisfied with the good deeds that they do. When any one of them is spoken of highly, they say, you know what? I know myself better than anybody else. And Allah, don't deal with me according to what you see, but according to what they see. They forgive very quickly. The coolness of their eyes lies with that which will last forever. So qurrat aini will always be something that will last forever. They don't get angry. You only expect good from them. These sounds like moms, don't they? They admit to the truth. If they're silent, it's okay. And if they laugh, they don't raise their voices. And I could go on and on and on. And maybe you can read this from Sermon 193. This was when Hammam asks Imam Ali, what does a mutaki look like? When he heard all this, he actually collapsed and died. And Imam said, I feared this would happen. Because he thought, I can't be all these things. But you know what? Pick 5. And go through them and see if you tick those boxes. It's phenomenal. But I hope today you will make your list for Laylatul Qadr. I've got 10 minutes, and I'd like to talk about today, which is Friday. Fatima, have you got a slide on Friday? So if you look at the day of Friday, which starts tonight, in Islam, the night, Friday starts on the night. The night comes before the day. That's why you call this, I think in Gujarati we say Jumerat. That means the night of Jum'ah. Laylatul Jum'ah. So it will start at Maghrib tonight. Don't lose this time. And I'm going to go over a few things. So in the 24 hours of Friday, you get 600,000 opportunities to get freedom from the fire. So that's 1 every 4 seconds. Can you imagine? Every 4 seconds you can say, Astaghfirullah Rabbi wa atubu ilayh. Please, I don't want agitation. And I've mentioned again, fire starts here. It's not there. It starts here. So we don't want that agitation. You know, Prophet Yaqub, when he wanted to say forgiveness for he wanted to ask forgiveness for his sons, Quran says, Sawfa astaghfirullah Rabbi. I will ask for forgiveness. He was waiting for Friday. I would use Friday like nobody's business. If you keep away from sins on Friday, you're forgiven. All your past sins are forgiven. The best day to do ibadah together is Friday. Recite Surah Al-Jumu'ah. You know, Salatul Jumu'ah, many of the Maraja, not today's, but before, used to say it's like wajib. Quran says, إِذَا نُودِيَ إِلَى الصَّلَاةِ مِنْ يَوْمِ الْجُمُعَةِ فَاسْعَوْا إِلَى ذِكْرِ اللَّهِ وَذَرُوا الْبَيْعَ. When the adhan of Jumu'ah comes, run. Leave everything. Just go and run and pray Salah. Jumu'ah is really important. Recite as many salawats as possible. Tasbihat arba. The Prophet tells Imam Ali, do ghusl. Even if you have to buy water, do ghusl. Even if you don't have food, but just water, get water to do ghusl. So Friday ghusl is really important. If you cut your nails on a Friday, the Prophet says it prevents many health issues. You know how you cut your nails, by the way, don't you? I know with a nail cutter, yeah, I get that, okay? So you start off with your right hand, and you start with the little finger, and then you cut all your nails, and you say, Bismillahi wa billahi wa ala sunnati Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad. Can you just imagine cutting those nails on a Friday will save you a lot of health issues? It works. Buy your family gifts on a Friday. Prophet said that. Acquire knowledge on a Friday. Remember your marhumin on a Friday. There's a wonderful story about the Prophet waking up on a Friday morning, and he's in the mosque and all the people are coming for salah, and they see him crying and they say, Ya Rasulullah, why are you crying? The gates of the city are closed. What news did you get? He said, your marhumin came to visit me. And he said, our marhumin? And they said, how? And he said, well, last night you didn't remember them. So they came to tell me that you had forgotten all about them. They actually came to visit you and you were completely oblivious. So today, when you have your iftar, I know you're going to read Allahumma laka sumna wa ala rizkika aftarna fataqabbal minna innaka anta as-samiul alim, and then with your date you will say ya wasi al-maghfira ighfirli. Wait, it's not going to hurt. Maybe you pray salah, I don't know. If you don't, it doesn't matter because you got to focus on it, but recite Suratul Fatiha. Make a list just now before you get home. I don't know, grandma, grandpa, great-grandma, great-grandma, whoever in your family you've lost, make a list of them. Remember them on Thursday night. You don't want them on Friday morning complaining. It's really amazing to do that, okay? Pomegranates. Try to have a pomegranate on Friday morning. You can actually get them. They're quite good. Get some pomegranate. Have a little bit. Give it to your children. It increases divine energy in them. This is what the Prophet said. After Fajr. Now this is important, okay? Maybe you don't remember the rest. They're all on here. After Fajr tomorrow, go into Sajda. Recite Suratul Kafirun 10 times for your hajat. I repeat again. After Fajr, go into Sajda. Recite Suratul Kafirun 10 times. Okay? Tomorrow, Jumu'ah, Kahf, Waqia, Rahmat. But just recite Jumu'ah, especially in Fajr. Pick it up, pick your Quran up. First rakat, Suratul Fatiha and Suratul Jumu'ah. Second rakat, Suratul Fatiha and Suratul Ikhlas. And when you go into, if you don't have any hajat, you're very fortunate. But go into sajda and ask for your children to be righteous. That's what it's about. It's your du'as that work. A mother's du'as are just phenomenal. They work everywhere. There's a man who came to the Prophet and said, everything's going bad. Business not working, family left, nothing's working. And the Prophet said, you got mama? He said, no. He said, do you know where her grave is? He said, no. He said, just go to your backyard, draw a line, make the niyyah that that's your mama's grave, and ask her, because she's the only person who can pray for you even from your grave. So if you have a mother, you're very, very fortunate. Very fortunate. If you don't, still ask her. It's phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. Do istighfar after Asr. 70 times. If not 70 times, 7 times. Astaghfirullah Rabbi wa atubu ilayh. And you know tomorrow is associated with Imam Mahdi. It's one of those days where Imam Mahdi was born. It's the day he will come. So take out sadaqah in his name. You know we say in Gujarati, Fool nahi to fool ni pankri. 2 pence. Doesn't matter, there's a box here somewhere. Tomorrow when you come, just put some money in that box because it's still going to be Friday. You know, Sayyidah Fatima used to tell Sayyidah Fizza, she used to tell her, Fizza, go and stand near the, if I can say, where you can see the sunset on a Friday. And she would say, as you see the sun going down, run back to me and tell me, for then those few moments are the most precious moments there are. So for us, I think tomorrow, maybe the time will be about 7:43, 7:44, right? 7 o'clock, drop everything, everything. Go outside, go under the sky, it's not that cold now, and raise your hands in dua. And like I said, if you don't have any other hajat, make my children righteous. Get my children to reach their full potential so they can enter Jannah. Pray for them. Rabbi ibn li indaka baytan fil Jannah. Let him give you a really big house so you can accommodate all your kids. Oh God, you don't want all your kids there. But let them have separate houses near you, okay? But you want houses for them near you. I have one here. She's awesome. But you know what? They're good on their own. Yeah? So pray for what you want. Otherwise, they're all going to be there. Oh God, yeah. They're all going to be there, okay? Including the grandchildren. Can you just imagine? They're beautiful, but hey, that's how life goes. So that's Friday. That's Ramadan. We've completed for Suratul Qalam 4 sections now. First section, how you behave with khulq. Second section, mouth, ears, nose. You remember? Yes? No arrogance. These people were mean, they were awful. They didn't follow divine guidance. Third section, these didn't share. There was a story of the garden. And fourth section we did is Jannah. And Jannah is all about sharing. So literally, tomorrow we're going to do Sayyidah Khadija and Surah Al-Jumu'ah, because that's part of Qira'at. We're going to do the tafsir of Surah Al-Jumu'ah as a building, and you'll be able to see it on screen. Okay? Let's recite Surah Al-Fatiha. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. صدق الله العظيم. Can you ask Allah to give the thawabs to all the marhumin, especially those of your family? Pray for those who are ill and those who are in trouble. Can you stand for ziyarah, please? السلام عليك يا رسول الله. السلام عليك يا أمير المؤمنين. السلام عليك يا فاطمة الزهراء سيدة النساء العالمين. السلام عليك يا خديجة الكبرى أم المؤمنين. السلام عليك يا حسن المجتبى. السلام عليك يا أبا عبد الله وعلى الأرواح التي هلت بفنائك. عليك مني سلام الله أبدا ما بقيت وبقي الليل والنهار ولا جعله الله آخر العهد مني لزيارتكم. السلام على الحسين وعلى علي بن الحسين وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى أصحاب الحسين وعلى 9 المعصومين من ذريتك علي بن الحسين ومحمد بن علي وجعفر بن محمد وموسى بن جعفر وعلي بن موسى ومحمد بن علي وعلي بن محمد والحسن بن علي والحجة بن الحسن أجل الله فرجه وسهل الله مخرجه وظهورك. والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. اللهم كل وليك الحجة ابن الحسن صلواتك عليه وعلى آبائي في هذه الساعة وفي كل الساعة وليا وحافظا وقائدا وناصرا ودليلا وعينا حتى تسكنه أرضك توعا وتمتيه فيها طويلا برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. جزاكم الله خيرا. See you tomorrow inshallah.